Welcome to the channel, people. Have a seat, grab a cup of coffee. It's gonna be a long one. Let's chat. Welcome to the channel. My name is Brandy. Please come on in. How y'all doing, people? I never really know how to start these things. I kind of always just feel weird. I don't film myself very often. I'm sure you guys can tell. Now that all the formalities are out of the way, I'm just kidding. People, if this is your first chat with me, I like to do these a couple times a year. Just kind of sit back. They could be me just rambling about new things that are going on. Recently I did one announcing the TDS Decoupage Paper brand, and just anything really. I don't talk a lot in my content. I don't really introduce myself. I don't really go over anything going on in the content. Very little. I'm kind of like, get in there and get to the point. So I kind of use these chat with me's, and if I'm going to do giveaways and stuff like that, I will put them in here just to kind of, you know, spruce things up and offer little surprises. I know there are so many of you that like to just kind of sit down and do these type of videos. So a couple months ago, because I have a ton of questions on a normal basis in my content about all kinds of things, ranging from different things that I do to deal with pain, or how to create a YouTube channel. Am I gonna be making decoupage papers? Like, just all kinds of things. So I'm today going to be answering I put a Q&A up, and there were a lot of questions, and there were other questions that I've been asked randomly throughout the months and couple years with different things, and I'm throwing them in there too, just to kind of try and touch base on everything. So this video is probably going to be a little long. If you don't want to watch, obviously don't watch. Those of you that are interested in anything that's going on, stick around. Let's get to the questions and answers. First up, Allison Hicks, and yes, I have them wrote down. I still don't have my laptop. Not even going to get into it, but I film on my phone, and if I had my laptop, I could have that like sitting here going over. So I had to write everything down by hand. Anyhow, Allison Hicks, of course you would ask me this question. Are you going to try resin things? I'd love to see you try a starter kit. Well, of course you would. Because anytime I'm trying things new and it's a struggle, you guys just love it. But anyhow, Allison, I have actually been looking into resin kits, and Five Below, if you guys hang out with me on my browsing channel, Five Below has had some really cool ones. I've actually done Five Below a review video before. I am thinking about doing another one. Let me know in the comments below if that's something that interests you, if I try different Five Below kits, because I can pop that in the content more often. They have a lot. But I am nervous because I am really, really weird about chemicals. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, those of you that like my furniture pieces, I haven't done a lot of them recently, and that's because I want to kind of redo the whole PPE thing that I use and get a little bit more user-friendly things. Some of my favorite finishing seals that I know last really well, they have horrible smells, and I just don't. I have a horrible reaction to chemicals. They give me migraines, and we try to stay away from using those type of things, even Lysol, spraying them in my house, or burning candles. So resin kit, yes, I would like to try doing some, but I am going to be very practical with it and try to find the most budget friendly and the most like chemical free way to try the kit. Next up, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be animated the whole time. So some of these questions were sort of similar, and I bunched them together. I hope nobody's offended by that. I just want to make sure that if they're the similar type of question, I feel like I can just answer it all in one swoop, you know what I mean? So Kathleen Simmons asks, I would like to know how to start my own crafting channel on YouTube. I'm not very tech savvy. And Joyce Beelman, and I'm sorry if I botched your names. Doesn't mean I don't love you, okay? I would like to know how to get started on YouTube. So I will tell you, If you're not familiar with the analytic end, don't be too afraid. I am really, anybody that knows me, I am extremely, might not seem like it in the content, I'm extremely analytic savvy. I am all about the numbers. I have a business degree. I crunch numbers like there's no tomorrow, and I rattle my brain sometimes until 2 in the morning. And I know content creators, bigger ones than me, that don't pay attention to none of that stuff. Okay. So it really, I think, boils down to, what do you want to do? Okay. If you want to make a crafting channel, if you want to make a Play-Doh channel, whatever, figure out what your niche that you're interested in. And niche just kind of means like your general area. Okay. I tried to niche down really small and got bored really easy, because I just like to DIY everything. I don't feel like I could just do Dollar Tree, or just do thrift videos, or just do home makeovers, or just do wood DIYs, or just do decoupage or napkin DIYs. Like, I'm really easy to get bored of doing the same thing. However, when you're starting a YouTube channel, the algorithm, which is the thing that pushes your videos out, that plays a key factor in you being able to get in there, and they're like, okay, she's putting the same video out, push it. So I know a lot of craft channels, they start in Dollar Tree and then they'll maneuver themselves in a way that works for them, and needing to be consistent in terms of creating content you love. I know people that post once a month and they're successful every time they post. And I have people that post every 2 weeks and they're successful every 2 weeks they post. And then you have people like me, where I could post one video on Friday and it not really go anywhere, and I'm posting every Friday. So I really think you knowing what you want to do, loving what you do, and making it a point to put that in every piece of content. I hope if you guys take nothing else away from the fact that sometimes my DIYs suck, make sure that what you're doing, you love it, so you can come back and hit it next week, and hit it next week, and hit it next week. I also feel like you should be aware that there are a lot of channels out there that can help you. vidIQ, Think Media, Daryl Eves. Watch some of these channels. Just Google YouTube content creation, and there will be things that will help you piece together creating content. Creating content, I feel like, is such a unique thing to you that you should be able to make the same type of content that you want to watch. And that's how I feel I create content. I feel like I make things that I want to watch, and if it's boring, I cut it, and so on. And I think it's important that anybody that's creating their own YouTube channel does the same thing. If you don't want to watch it, there's chances somebody else might not want to. As far as being tech savvy, I use my phone. And I edit on apps. You can Google, there are one app that I think is really user-friendly, is called Power Director. So if you're not tech savvy, you want to use a phone, you don't want to use a camera, and you don't want to use a laptop to edit, then just use your phone. I know other content creators that also just use phone, and you can start out with free things and just start out filming yourself. It could just be one little video, one DIY, one project, and just go from there. You don't have to post it on YouTube, but just kind of get yourself comfortable with feeling like, this is what I want to make. I like this camera angle. I don't like this camera angle. Figuring out the maneuverability with crafting and filming, because I tell you what, a normal craft project that shouldn't take that long takes hours when you're filming. It's unbelievable how quickly I can get something done when I don't have to film it. So there's a lot of different variations, and I could probably talk for another 5 minutes. I see I spent like 5 minutes on this question. Don't kill me. If you want to create a channel niche yourself down enough that you can be consistent and love the things that you make. Find some channels that are going to be able to help you grow and focus on things that you feel are important to bring to your audience, because that's really what matters at the end of the day, is making the people that are watching you happy. Sorry about the light changing like in here. I have the windows open, but I think like a storm's rolling in or something, so that just changed. If I turn on the big light, then everything's yellow, so we don't want to do that. Teresa Dreamer asks, how and when did you get started DIYing? I, believe it or not, have been painting since I was a child. My mom actually has pieces at her house like a round of ceramic pieces that I painted as a kid, and I'm talking like 6-7 years old. This one cookie jar that she has, I was really little when I painted this, and she held on to it. But I did ceramics from very early on and just continued painting. I took some art classes in high school. I took the arts and humanities and did some digital things while I was in college. And yeah, I just have always loved to DIY and create things. And when I was probably in my early 20s, my dad, I was living with my parents, and at the time they wanted to do an add-on. So we had this company come in and they put an add-on on, and me and my dad and some other people finished like the inside, hanging drywall, doing trim, painting, sanding, all the things. And I just loved it. I loved using a nail gun and all that stuff that went along with it. So I just continued to learn, and my dad always, like, that's who pretty much taught me how to use every single tool that I own, and he's actually the one who's probably invested the most in my tool habit. Tiffany Thompson asks, can you layer napkins? Absolutely. You can absolutely layer napkins. It really also depends on how you have them layered, because you can curve around the napkins to layer them, or you can wait until certain sections are dry. You know, do like I'd probably have to do a video. So noted. Okay, noted. Amanda Friedman, I'm gonna just skip the other, I'm gonna botch that, Amanda. Sorry. I'd love a tutorial about using power tools. I have a miter saw and a bunch of other stuff I'm afraid to use. Also, I have another burning question. Does it help to increase views if you put a goofy pic of yourself on the cover? You don't do it, but most YouTubers do. So first of all, let me know in the comments below if you're interested in seeing me make a fool out of myself in a tool tutorial. Second of all, I'm not a professional with tools by any means, but I'll happily, you know, make a video if you guys are interested, just about the basics of things I know. And if you guys don't actually see me cutting stuff with the wood on the miter saw, but I'm like this. Like, I got glasses on and I'm like, like scared to death, because I mean, I shouldn't be, but I am, like, for whatever reason, like that miter saw, like I'll get it measured just perfectly. And then I'm like, okay, now it's time to make sure everything's safe and on. And then I'm like closing my eyes, tilting my head to the side. It's a mess, but I mean, I'll happily do it if you're interested. As far as the thumbnail thing goes, I've really tried to switch my thumbnails up a lot recently, and I gotta be honest with y'all, I probably take a good 20 to 30 pictures every time I go to do the thumbnail, and it is always a good time, especially because, like, I gotta go out in my patio usually and do it, and I'm sweating my tatas off and some more stuff out there. I'm like fighting the sweat mustache, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so hot, and I'm like trying to prep my hair, and I'm like, it might not seem goofy on the picture, but I laugh at every one of them suckers. I just feel like since I've started putting myself in the thumbnails, they get clicked more. I don't know if that's because, and you guys let me know in the comments how you feel about it, because I'm just assuming, okay? I think that more people are kind of like, oh, that's Brandy, you know, click, versus more of, oh, that's a goofy looking thumbnail, it must be interesting, click, you know what I mean? Or if I have a bright color in the background and like I'm popping and pointing to something, yeah, I mean, honestly, as of this day, I am almost, for the first time, close to reaching a video with 100,000 views. And I've been doing this over 3 years now, so I'm probably not the best person to ask about the thumbnail situation with the goofiness, because I just think it's all goofy. And it's supposed to be very serious because you need people to click on the videos, but I just think it's hilarious that I'm like out here going through all this to create the thumbnail. And then when I get them on there, like sometimes they just tank and I'm like, oh, that stress over this thumbnail. It didn't go nowhere. So, I mean, you have to sometimes just laugh at yourself, because if not, it's like, meh. Goofy or not. So these next two questions, believe it or not, I am kind of asked so many different things about this in my content on a weekly basis, because I do not hide the fact that I struggle with hand grip strength or anything like that. And I'm not saying other people do, I'm just saying like I kind of broadcast it, like letting y'all know, like, if you have this issue, if this is going on, my carpal tunnel is killing me, X, Y, and Z. So I have a lot of people ask different questions because many of you struggle with the same things. So Denise Bachman asks, how do you get so much done? I have chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and chronic neck pain. And again, I'm summarizing some of these because I had to write all this by hand, okay? Sorry. Anyhow, Brenda Z. View, you have mentioned having grip issues and other issues. How do you maintain the business and the demand for product, but to have a quantity worth selling? So, to sum it up, and I don't get really personal with like my health issues in the content, but I do talk about, I have degenerative disc disease, and I also have an inverted neck. So where most people's neck goes one way, mine goes the opposite way. I have cracked discs in my lower spine. I have sciatica. I have carpal tunnel. I also have a bladder disease called interstitial cystitis. And a few other, I got panic. What else y'all want to know? But as terms of the pain, so funny thing, I could really get into this, but I'm going to try and keep this under 3 minutes, this explanation, since I spent 5 on the other one. I've went to doctors on and off for many, many years. And I mean, like, I have seen physical therapists, I have seen specialists, I've had tons of x-rays, all the things. And I'm allergic to opioids. I cannot take Percocets. I can't take any of that stuff. I you know, swell up. I have issues. I can't even take ibuprofen properly, because even if I'm eating with it, because I just get horrible stomach aches. So the pain and dealing with it for me is an everyday struggle. It's an everyday struggle. It is not easy. Sometimes I have a migraine out of nowhere, and it's probably just because I've been sitting improperly. So one thing I learned through physical therapy, I'm going over 3 minutes. One thing I've learned through physical therapy is correct posture is important when I'm working on the computer, you know, to make sure my hands and everything is aligned properly. I have a standing desk now, so I can adjust according to my pain. So everything I do, even washing dishes, like I will make sure, even though I like scrubbing my pots and pans, I'll make sure the pots or the frying pans that I get are able to go in the dishwasher, because sometimes I just can't. Sometimes I just can't. I can't hold it. I can't wash it. I can't stand there. I can't do all those things. So I have developed a way of going through life figuring out an alternative to when the pain is that bad and I can't function. Also, there are other alternative medicines that you can try. And getting CBD oil to rub on you when you're in pain, that stuff helps as well. And it can allow you to be able to maneuver things. Sometimes I sleep with wrist brace and I will ice myself before I go to bed. So there's those things. Recently, and there's going to probably be a lot of controversy on this. So, I started the carnivore diet. I am not sure if you're familiar with that. I'm not going to waste a whole bunch of time on it, but I am eliminating a lot of things. I've been doing this now 3 weeks. I'm down over 10 pounds. I do not have any sciatica symptoms at all as of the last 4 to 5 days, which is unbelievable to me. It is not for everyone. It's not for everyone. I don't recommend just going out and all the things. I also do allow, even though I'm doing mostly carnivore, I do allow certain fruits that are not sprayed with pesticides, mostly honeydew and watermelon and avocado. So it's a very limited diet. I'm doing this as an elimination of processed thing to help reduce inflammation. If you guys are not familiar with all that, that's another thing that you could look into. We don't realize it, but a lot of vegetables and things like that, they can cause inflammation and pain and stuff in our joints. And I was completely unaware of all of this, even after all the doctors I've seen throughout the years. So I hope some of that helps all of you that asks about the pain situation. And in terms of being able to keep up with the demand for product, I just work when I can. I work when I can, when I feel like I'm up to it and I got that burst of energy. I'm like, right now's the time. And I make the most of every single second of that time until I can't no more. And then when I feel like I'm physically drained, I'm like, muck it. This is it. That's my end game. And then that's how much product I have. Chatty Cathy asks, how do you keep from procrastinating? I try to make sure that I like what I'm doing with just about anything. Even if I'm cleaning, I'm like putting on some jelly roll. I got my headphones on and I'm walking around like trying to enjoy doing that. Because sometimes the reason we don't want to do things is because it sucks. So I try to figure out a way that I don't make it suck. This is a combo question. We have Dina who asks, talk about selling your creations. Do you have an antique booth? Do you sell at shows or do you sell online? And then Donna S asks, I would like to know how you got started selling your items that you make. I would love to know how to start my own business. Also, I would like to know how to do painting like you do. Deborah asks, can you let us know how to go about getting into a space and how much inventory to craft? And how do you know if the items look good enough to sell? I get this question privately a lot in terms of the booth thing. Believe it or not, if you're not familiar with there being local craft areas or art markets, go into one that you're familiar with and ask questions. That's how I found the one that I'm at. I went into one and I was like, blah, 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 do you have space? And they were like, no, we're full up, but there's this place. And then I went to this place and they didn't have anything. I was just consistent on finding those types of areas to find a place that would actually be available. So that's kind of how I found my spot. Yes, I do. I am a vendor at Wireworks Market in Pennsylvania, and there is a website. It's awesome. Like there's tons and tons. It's an artist place. There's also a thrift place. It's a really awesome place. I need to go there. I have 2 boxes full. They're gonna kill me when I bring these boxes and put on my little spot. But yes, I do have a space and I do sell things on my website. Things I make in the content, they're available on the website. Usually I include shipping in the price of those. I do sell at those places, and you can also sell at, Facebook Marketplace. If you have a website, there's Etsy. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with that. As far as starting your own business, email me. Okay, just email me. We can talk. I can talk to you a little bit more about that privately. I feel like that's a little bit more personal, and I'd be happy to talk with you. So just shoot me an email, girl, and ask whatever specific questions you want, okay? And Deborah, as far as the inventory goes, I know this is gonna probably not be the best advice, but for me, mine is like whatever I can't house in my house, it goes to the vendor space. Or if it's something that I just think that would go there. But I have people ask, like, how do I know what to set the pricing for? I don't. I just kind of pop it up there. If it's not selling, I'll put the price down. And the problem is, and I think a lot of people don't talk about this, when you sell your own crafts, like people be like, oh, you know, if you make crafts, if you make this, but let's be real here. You're competing against stores like Dollar Tree and Walmart and Dollar General, and they make really nice shit for a little bit of money. So it is hard when you craft and you make nice stuff and you're like, nobody's buying my shit, and it's frustrating. And when you go into feeling like this is going to be where you're going to make extra money and then it's not happening, it can be super discouraging. But don't let that stop you from trying to make your dreams come true. Just be aware that what you're pricing things, when you're buying things, you have to make sure that you're not overspending, especially when you first start. It can be easy to walk in a Dollar Tree and drop down $300 like, take my money. And you don't want to do that because chances are people are going to go, if it's not finished up nicely, if it's not, doesn't have the sealers, if you're just using hot glue, all of these things in my experience depend on whether or not my stuff gets sold. I have noticed for sure that if I use more hot glue and you can see that stuff oozing out of corners and stuff like that, and it goes in a spot, people don't touch it. People are like, I'm not giving you $7 for that little piece. So keep that in mind. I feel like it's not so much about how much quantity you have, because if you have a good product and people know where you're at, if you have a spot, they're going to come back if they like your pieces. And people, I want to address something really important real quick. I cuss. I am not sure who needs to hear this, but I'm just going to say it this one time. I've already addressed it on my community tab before. I don't know. I've gotten recently, in about the last 6 months, people, I'm not following you no more, or I'm not staying subscribed. Oh, my kid was sitting here and you just said the S word. I cuss. And it would be bananas for me when I hear some people are like, oh, my child heard you. Like, I can walk out the front door and my neighbors are across the street cussing at each other. I'm not trying to judge nobody. I cuss. I want you to, what you see is what you get. If you meet me out in the world, okay, I don't want you to think you're going to meet somebody else and then I'm over here cussing and you're like, oh my God, Brandy isn't what she seems on YouTube. No, I want you to leave that interaction, be like, this bitch is exactly what I thought she was gonna be in person. I want you to have that fuzzy feeling inside, because I am who I am. I don't want to try and perpetrate to be something that I'm not. And I hope the people that are sticking around to hang out with me understand that and can accept that about me, because I accept everything that comes at me in those comments, good, bad, indifferent. And I feel like we live in a world now that we should just be more accepting and embracing of people's differences. It doesn't make me any less of a human being because I say shit in my content. I was raised by a construction worker who has a mouth like a sailor, and I am proud of it every damn day. I have had several messages about the decoupage paper and if I'm going to be doing videos on that. I am not going to be taking up my regular Friday content with any type of like decoupage paper or any TDS brand stuff, I should say. Any TDS brand stuff, I'm not going to dedicate full Friday videos to that. I'm creating content for YouTube. I'm also creating a brand for me, for my company, for the DIY struggle. But it's important to me to bring content that you enjoy seeing. So what I'm going to do starting next month is we're going to start a new series on the channel, and I don't know if I'm going to call it Crafting and chatting, or chatting and crafting, let me know in the comments below, something along those lines. And it's going to be filmed kind of tutorial-ish, where I can talk live as I'm, you know, filming, and it's going to allow me to work on a whole piece all month. So those that have been asking me to do more furniture and things like that, I'm going to be able to use that and do that with these videos. So I'm really excited. I've been really thinking about how I can do this, and I can be able to link all of those into one playlist. So people that love the TDS decoupage paper, they will have ideas, and as more stuff comes throughout the next year or two, they'll just be content for you to reference, and I'll probably link them through the website as well. And last up, I am not going to do a duping through the holidays playlist this year. I know. I'm still going to do a giveaway, and I'm still personally going to dupe through the holidays, but it is a lot doing a playlist when you are depending on other content creators to be able to do things each week, and then you're trying to keep to a certain schedule and a certain type of giveaway, and there's just a lot of things that go into it, and confusion happens, and it's just a lot. So I am still going to do a giveaway, and I do have 1 or 2 creators popping in with me to do a couple dupes, but it's just not going to be a month-long playlist, and there's not going to be giveaways throughout the whole thing, and there probably won't be an actual giveaway in the duping through the holiday videos that I'll be doing in November. It'll probably be like a chat with me like this. So keep an eye out for that. Well, people, that's it. I think I've answered all the questions. If I haven't, put some down in the comments and I will get to them as I can. I always try to answer comments. I am definitely backed up. I always try to get to ones that they have questions. Some of you have realized that if you message me through the website or on Instagram, you can get me quicker if there's something going on. But I do try to get back. So if you have extra, look, the lights now, the lights now coming in and out. So the video's over now. I don't need you anymore, son. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. I know it's a little long-winded, but those of you that wanted to hang out while we're chatting here and doing questions and stuff, hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks so much, as always, for loving and supporting me. I appreciate all of you so much. And until next time.